The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys!
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com
We were on the break!
with Ambar Garcia, Brian Broaddus, Patrick Walker, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Wednesday, August 16th, 2023, season 19, episode number 18. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break. We're live from Oxnard, California. It is our final day on the show here. We have a couple more days of practice. Cowboys will have a full practice today. Tomorrow they'll have a walkthrough. Friday we get on a plane, head to Seattle. We play a game on Saturday night, and we'll be heading back and get back to Dallas at 6 a.m. on Sunday morning. And Monday we'll start all over again.
Yeah, we will.
Welcome to the season, guys. We're doing it. All right, let's jump in. Today what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of a wrap on training camp. What's wrong?
Rap.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you
thought you
got
were
some?
talking bars.
You got
Yeah,
bars for us?
I
I
don't
mean,
know
if you
what
got
you want me to
bars,
do.
you could always.
Boys, no Melly
always
Mel,
bless
though.
us.
Don't go Melly Mel in it, though.
No, I'm good.
But no, I wanted to do a camp wrap. We're going to talk about some different topics. I'm going to throw out some different questions to you guys and get some opinions after seeing these weeks of training camp and all the practices that we've seen. Get kind of a bigger picture look from you guys on what you think of this team and some of the players on this team heading into the final two preseason games and then obviously heading into the season. Let's start first with, though, we have not talked about the Zach Martin deal. Last time we were on the air, Zach Martin was not at practice yet. What was the deal, first of all? What were the terms of the deal? And then we'll talk a little bit about what you guys think of that.
Okay, so it more or less breaks down. He gets an $8 million raise over the next two seasons, minus the fines.
$8 million per or $8 million total?
Total.
Got it.
So minus the fees that approached $1 million, he netted roughly $7 million. But the breakdown goes as follows. So it's 2 years, 36.9 roundup, $9 million. And keep in mind, this is after the restructure. So he already had $11.8 million of his salary restructured in March. So he's basically, in totality, he's getting roughly $36 million in guaranteed money over the next 2 years. But the key to remember is not only is he getting that guaranteed, but inclusive of that is an overall $8 million pay bump. So he didn't set the market, and I said before, I was of the belief that Zach Martin was not trying to set the market. He was just trying to get more pay for, something that was more commensurate with his value to the team. So they found a sweet spot.
He rich.
He rich. But you can be rich when you're great. So,
Yeah.
so there you go.
Yeah.
Nick, was this a good deal? A good deal for the Cowboys?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about this. They didn't go into training camp thinking that this was – they didn't go into maybe the season a few weeks into training camp thinking this was something that they had to do. But I kind of equate this situation to like your air conditioner going out.
Huh.
Because it's
In
not –
Texas or in California?
Texas.
Oh, wow.
Big difference.
Do they have it here?
I'm just saying it's a big difference.
No. In
in
Texas.
Right.
Your Texas AC. You might be budgeting different things that you need. Oh, I'm going to buy this. I'm going to get this. I need to, pay for this. But when the AC goes out, that changes everything. Now, okay, get it fixed. When? Like today, like now. Like, can he come now and let's get it? What is it going to be? That's a little high, but I got to do it. I got to get
Really
it
don't
fixed.
care what the price is.
Because
Yeah.
if it's not here, it gets really hot and sticky. Same with Zach Martin not being here. It changes the priority of everything. When he did that, good move by him, good leverage, good timing, because it worked. They had to get this done. He's that important to what they were trying to do.
Perfect analogy, because I'm sitting here thinking about you're in Texas heat. It's 105 degrees, and that's equivalent to the pressure that's on the Cowboys
Right.
to deliver this year, right? And every hour that AC is out, the heat just goes up and up and up, and that thermostat says 80, 85, 90, 95, 100. And at 100, now it's a health risk. You got to wonder if people are going to start surviving, all right?
He's taking this to another level.
I'm saying,
I was about to say, maybe
that's
I don't
where
even
I'm
want
at
to go
with it.
home now.
You got to wonder if
Just
people are
stay
going to
here.
start surviving. So
It sounds like we prepped this thing, but we
We
really
really
didn't.
didn't.
Like, he just took the ball. I just lobbed it up, and he just LeBron.
But also, kudos to Jerry Jones for pulling the full HVAC repair. Jerry Jones sat down with Zach Martin when we went back to Dallas last week to prep for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they got in the room, and you know what they say, 2 people in the room can get more done than a room full of, than a room with 100 people in it. So Zach Martin, Jerry Jones sat down face to face, good conversation, and everything is everything.
So you don't think the game had anything to do with it? The fact that
Oh, absolutely. Again, the temperature starts going up, the thermostat starts reading higher and higher, and so I think Jerry Jones, I think he knew going in to Dallas last week that he wanted to probably have a sit down with his best player and try to hash things out. But to your point, I think if there wasn't a resolution met before the game, there was certainly one reached after the game.
I love what Zach said too in this press conference, and I got a chance. I asked him afterwards about Jerry's comments. Like, did you ever hear any of those? And he goes, yeah, I did. And he laughed, but he said, somebody told him. I'm not sure who he had talked with someone.
Love this quote.
And he said, when you step into the world of the business side, when you play the game of, hey, I'm going to do a holdout, you're playing the game.
Yeah.
Playing the game. And so he goes, it's all bets are off at that point. So, yeah, they are closing shop here a little bit. So, actually, I was a little disappointed by this move because what's being happened is the water, the free water machine is being taken away, and I was really hoping that.
I don't know. Maybe it's not.
It's true.
It's
not. It may not be.
There's some challenges.
It may
definitely
not
being
be.
wheeled.
William's gonna come help it out. William, go get in there and fix the water machine.
Oh gosh.
There we go. But either way, sorry, we're distractible players around here.
No, but I actually love that he said that, because I think sometimes there are some players out there who they get into the negotiations of a contract, and then they take it personal, and they get sensitive when it comes to things that are said or done as a part of that process. And what I always say is, if you don't want to be a part of that process, let your agent handle it. And just stay out of it, because that's what agents are for. Agents know how to do that kind of thing. If you're going to be a part of it, though, understand that business is business. And that's one of the things I like about Jerry a lot, actually, is that, he will negotiate really hard, and he will say things as a part of the negotiation that kind of lead you down a path.
The media.
But whenever, like you said, whenever it gets to a point where, okay, we got to go ahead and get this deal done, he'll go sit down with that player, and he'll talk to that player, and he'll put his arm around that player, and there is no doubt when they leave that meeting, I love you, man. You're my dude.
Yep.
And so I think Jerry has a good way of kind of separating the two. He can compartmentalize. The business is the business, the personal is the personal. And if you're going to be in the business side and you're going to be a part of that, know that we playing the business game, and that's what we're going to. It's no different than being on the field. Like, while we're on the field, I'm going to knock your head off, right? If those players out there, they can be friends off the field, but when they're on the field, it's football.
Right.
And so I think it's the same thing in business.
Jerry did the same thing with DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It was playing hardball, leveraging. But when push came to absolute shove and it was time to shake hands, Jerry got in there and shook hands.
And a big part of that, too, is the fact is that when those haymakers or whatever you want to call it are being delivered, what are you doing? Are you standing in there or are you ducking? And that's what Zach Martin did. He dug in. He continued to stay,
Respect
and DeMarcus did the same thing. Because when he was out here saying, well, we got to pay these other guys, we got to pay Parsons, it'd been easy to be like, all right, maybe these fines are starting to come up. He kind of embraced it and said, hey, I'm gonna go all the way here. I don't know how far he was going to go, but it was to the point where who blinked?
Nobody wanted to find out.
No. This is good. So you know what? They didn't wake up thinking the AC was going to go out, but it did, and they had to fix it immediately. That's one of those things. That goes right to the top, and they fixed it.
So you guys mentioned that could this have been something where you saw something in the game that kind of pushed this along. That being said, let's talk about like where this leaves the Cowboys from an offensive line perspective, because I think as we watched practice out here, I'll speak for myself, there were some concerns in my mind with regard to how this offensive line was going to be able to perform. With Zach Martin here, though, now you've got a starting offensive line that is the all-starting offensive line you had last year when you didn't have injury. Where are the concerns? Where do concerns still lie for you, if any, now that Zach Martin is back in the fold?
Yeah, I mean, for me, just the backup spots of, because in a perfect world, if Tyron plays all the games and Terrence Steele and all that, and then you got your 3 guys in the middle, yeah, everything's going to be great. But the backups, it's a big drop-off. I don't think there's that 6th guy that's really chomping at the bit. I could be wrong here, but
Do you know who your swing tackle is at this
No,
point?
not really. But I think that Robert Ory was a good shooter when Shaq was down in the paint. You know what I mean? Or when Hakeem was in there for
I was
Houston,
about to say,
whatever.
come on, man.
I'm saying when the stars are there, the guys tend to shoot better on the outside. Yeah. I think Terrence Steele and Tyler Biotis just got better with Zach Martin sliding in there. So I think the line got way better, more than just one spot. But after that, I don't know. I don't know who your 6th lineman is.
Nor do I. I will say, and I said it a couple days ago, I do believe that the presence of Zach not only makes Terrence Steele better, not only makes Tyler Biotis better, and then not only makes the starting 5 as a whole better, but he's going to help elevate some of these young guys. So as the Cowboys are trying to figure out who's, is Matt Farniok ready to take the next step? Is Matt Waletzko ready to take the next step at swing? Brock Hoffman on the interior, Alec Lindstrom as the backup for Tyler Biotis. It can only help these young guys to have Zach Martin back in the building.
Never mentioned Josh Ball.
It can only help these young guys to have Zach Martin back in the building and back on the practice field, coaching them rep after rep.
Yeah.
So after each of their reps, they get to come to the sideline and bounce the ideas off of Zach and say, Zach, what did you see? What can I improve upon? And that was missing during Zach's holdout. So now I'm really looking forward to seeing, hopefully, these young guys like Farniok and Hoffman kind of take the step forward against Seattle and most certainly against Las Vegas. So before week 1, we can actually sit here and say, okay, well, there's still question marks for the depth on the offensive line, but maybe not as many as we had prior to Zach Martin returning to training camp.
Yeah, I mean, the key at this point is they got to figure out who's their backup guard, who's their backup tackle, because that's where once you get to that point, then you're kind of playing, house money at that point. But I don't know that they even feel, or at least in our minds, I don't know that we have an idea of who that person really is because nobody's really separated themselves.
I think the backup tackle it might be Tyler Smith, and then they would, if something happened to tackle, then they would
go back
to 2020
guard in, and then they.
But that also has to do with let's go your next best tackle. And if he's your next best tackle, how much better is he than your next best guard, right?
Right.
And that's what we don't know, like how they're evaluating those guys in that way. How about Odoga? I mean, when will he be back? When will he be healthy? Because I don't know that he was horrible out here. I thought he was okay. He had some good moments.
He had his ups and downs.
So I think maybe you kind of look at him, and then when he gets back healthy, maybe he's the guy that ends up being your swing tackle.
I mean, I don't know more than the offensive line coach. Obviously, I've never seen him as a tackle.
Who?
Edoga. I see him as a guard, and
that's his build.
That's what his build is. That's where he actually has played his best football, I think, in the NFL. So I was a little surprised. Josh Ball's I mean, his build is obviously a tackle.
Yeah.
But you also have to have the feet for it, and so I'm not sure that he does. But he's getting a lot of work. But to the work where the Cowboys also said, okay, we're going to pay Zach Martin more money now.
And I'm also wondering, now that Zach is back, and again, this goes to the butterfly effect that goes outward from that position. Awesome Richards, rookie 5th-round pick. He was getting a lot of flex work to the point where it sounded a couple of weeks ago, maybe even last week, that Mike McCarthy wanted to start to get him some exclusivity at a particular position because maybe he was struggling because there was so much flex. Okay, well now Zach Martin is back. Less interior work for Awesome, possibly more on the edges, so now he can compete with Matt Waletzko for that swing tackle position. So maybe the backups at the edge start to kind of formulate more because it all starts to fix itself organically, hopefully, now that Zach is back in the picture.
Real quick before we get to our first break, we haven't really talked much about him on this show throughout training camp, but how do you think Terrence Steele has performed so far here at camp this year?
Terrence Steele is back. First practice he was on the field after being activated from the PUP list, no brace, and he was just out there contending with DeMarcus Lawrence and contending with Sam Williams, and he was winning battles in his first practice back from a torn ACL, and he's only gotten more and more solid from there. And we talked to him on yesterday. He said he feels great. A couple weeks ago, I was speaking to him kind of off the cuff, and he said, Pat, it feels like I was never hurt in the first place. And that is just amazing to hear when you look at the timeline from an injury such as a torn ACL. I think Terrence Steele is right back where he was pre-injury, and that can only bode well for the Cowboys.
Yeah, I think this
Pay him.
This line, he's going to be next probably.
Everybody about
him or
to pay.
CD,
Pay the
I
man.
know.
Pay the man.
I think this has a chance to be one of your strongest lines that they've had. I'm talking about not just strength. We're really moving people off the ball. Biotis is getting to a point where I think he uses his leverage well. He's probably the least of the five when it comes to just pure strength, but center, that's not exactly what you're looking for all the time. But from Tyron to Tyler to Zach and Terrence, I think you have an opportunity when you get first and goal at the 8, first and goal at the 9. We talk about this all the time, how tough it is. You got to be able to run the ball, push them back. That's where it gets really tough. And I think with Tyler, I love him at left guard. I really do. And Terrence Steele on the right side we've seen times they just wall people off over there. I think they're going to have a chance to really run the ball, and really knock people back.
All right, we're going to take our first break. We're going to come back. We're going to do our camp wrap. Got a lot of questions for these guys, give you guys a big picture look at what we've seen over here over these 4 weeks of training camp in Oxnard, California. We'll be back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Cowboys fans, after that move, we've just coined the term Rowdy Replay. Let's roll back the tape.
Okay, there's our mascot Rowdy cheering on the boys. And now he's on his phone, on his Bank of America mobile banking app?
Staying on top of his finances with his virtual financial assistant, Erica.
Bank of America's digital tools are so impressive. Cowboys fans just can't stop banking. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/can't-stop-banking.
Erica is only available in the English language. You must download the latest version of the mobile banking app, only available on select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. Member FDIC.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag and Turf, the official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
Hey Cowboys fans, ready to spice up your next watch party? Bring Yo Quiero guacamole and be the game day hero. Yo Quiero means I want, and we know you want great, fresh tasting, ready to serve guacamole for your home gating and tailgating events. Made with real avocados and the perfect blend of spices, it will be the star of any party. You can find us at your local Albertsons or Tom Thumb in the deli section. If you can't find it, talk to your store manager and tell them, Yo Quiero guacamole.
Back to the break.
Come watch the Dallas Cowboys practice at the Star in Frisco during training camp presented by American Airlines. Free open practices will take place at Ford Center starting with Cowboys Night on August 22nd and run through the 24th. For more information, visit DallasCowboys.com/training camp.
Welcome back. Second segment of the break live from this. I'm not from the SWBC Mortgage Studios. We will be back at the SWBC Mortgage Studios next week.
Got an upgrade,
and
didn't it?
It got a little upgrade. I got a picture yesterday somebody sent me of the new studios. It's pretty sweet. I can't wait to get back in there. We'll be back there next week. We are in Oxnard, California, and this segment is brought to you by blockchain.com. All right, we will take some questions throughout the show on our new text line as well. That text line number is 817-290-3298. Again, it is 888-290-3298.
Send a lot of text, please.
Your name and where you're from if you'd like us to mention that, and we'll try to get some questions throughout the show. All right, I'm actually going to start on one of them from Joe in Florida, and he said, who's had the bigger impact during training camp between Gilmore and Cooks?
Cooks. 100% Cooks.
Yeah?
Yeah. Because Cooks isn't just the second or third receiver. He has absolutely lifted Jalen Tolbert to another level.
You put that, you give him credit.
I'm giving him a lot of credit for that.
All right.
Give him a lot of credit for that. I give Tolbert credit too, but I think that the fact that Cooks can't come in here willing to do that, showing him how to be a pro, little things like that, just from the taking notes part to just taking it to the field. Gilmore has been great, but the fact that he's elevated another guy like that, and now who's to say that Gilmore hasn't done that for Bland? I don't know that, but I'm just going to say that it's a 2-for-1 with Cooks.
I will say real quick before you jump in, that catch that Tolbert made yesterday,
smooth criminal
in the end zone,
smooth criminal. Andy, are you okay?
Wow. Well, and I don't know, even on video, I don't know if it came across as great as the catch really was in person.
Sweet.
It seemed like he held that for like 10 seconds.
For finesse.
Like,
for finesse
just
purposes.
He caught it, feet came down, and stuck.
Balance, yeah.
And then comes out. Like, it was really
Kyle Yeomans with a great video.
Yeah.
They got
We'll have one too.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. I saw Kyle with one.
Yeah.
They got ripped all over.
I actually just missed out on having that video, folks, because I was looking for some logistics for Boss Man over here, so he kind of cost me the footage. But wonderful point when it comes to Brandon Cooks. It's absolutely hands down Brandon Cooks. And again, that's not to say Stephon Gilmore has not elevated the play of Trevon Diggs or DaRon Bland, but when you do it relative to each other, Trevon Diggs and DaRon Bland have already proven that they can take the ball away, be elite ball hawks. But then when you flip it to the offensive side of the ball, Jalen Tolbert is a young guy who had a lot to come in and prove this camp. So I give a ton of credit to Jalen Tolbert for looking in the mirror, looking inside himself, because that was the main problem was self-confidence. He got the self-confidence up. He got into his notebook a lot deeper. But he also attached himself to Brandon Cooks, which is something I was hoping he would do when the trade landed, and he did. So Cooks is elevating guys like Jalen Tolbert, and we're not going to pretend he's not elevating guys like Michael Gallup. And we see him elevating CeeDee Lamb, even if it's not even if it's, but in addition to locker room and those two guys sharing football IQ, it's the fact that whenever Brandon Cooks makes a play, you look at CeeDee Lamb and you can see him saying, "Okay, my turn. I will not be outdone." So the tide is rising much faster on the offensive side of the ball in the wide receiver room because of Brandon Cooks. And then if you look at just his play itself, everything else notwithstanding, he's basically owned training camp. Whenever he's targeted, it's a big play, it seems, every other time, if not every time. So for me, it's Brandon Cooks. But Stephon Gilmore obviously goes without saying. He will have equal impact as Brandon Cooks when the season comes along.
There was a play yesterday in practice where I believe Ferguson and Lamb and Gallup all just basically went vertical, just took it from the red zone, took it into the end zone, and Dak kind of waited, and crossing underneath was Cooks, and he dumped it off to Cooks. There was really nobody there for a while. He got to probably about the 5-yard line, and to me, that is what I always envisioned the West Coast offense being. Mm-hmm. Just you spread everybody out, everyone going deep, then you got someone slicing in underneath, and Dak loves that kind of stuff. And what quarterback doesn't? Loves a quick, easy throw where you got guys that can go and run.
Big
yak. So that's what's so great about Cooks. He's an underneath possession guy with the ability to go deep.
Yep.
That right there is a dangerous weapon. And if he's not he's your second or third best guy, that's
something.
That's something, yeah.
I actually think as I watched him play out here, I actually wonder to myself if Brandon Cooks will lead this team in receptions and Lamb in yards, because I do think there will be a lot of opportunity for Cooks to get some of those underneath throws, and I think the volume will be there with him, maybe in a way that it isn't even there with CD. But it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
I was about to say, won't it be fun to watch that unfold?
Yeah,
the Lamb versus Cooks statistical situation play out over the course of the season, because they're both obviously going to get a ton of targets. But who finishes with more targets? Who finishes with more yards? In the end, the Cowboys win either way.
I mean, they literally might have 3 receivers again. Didn't they do this a few years ago with 3 receivers over 1,000 yards?
They
might be there
really close. Really close.
That's 107 catches for CD. That's a big change right there. If Cooks is getting more than that, I'd have a hard time thinking that would happen because I do think they're going to target CD on bubble screens and things like that. But
that was also 107 when the receiving core was not near as good as it is this year, right?
No.
Which is, it's going to sound weird to say, but I think what would threaten the possibility of having 3 1,000-yard receivers, and we see Michael Gallup already taking that step and bouncing back and getting back to form. But we just mentioned it, Jalen Tolbert. If Jalen Tolbert continues to make this leap, then he's going to get targets as well. True. But those targets do have to, siphon from somewhere, so they'll probably come over from Michael Gallup's potential targets. So then you probably have CeeDee Lamb at over 1,000, Cooks at over 1,000, maybe Gallup at like 700 if Tolbert gets, 300 to 400. So either way, there's no shortage of weapons.
Ferguson's going to get 500 to me. I think Ferguson
agree.
will.
Actually, that goes
hurt.
Oh, no.
Okay.
That actually goes to my next question. That actually goes to my next question.
Ferguson at 800. I think he steps in. I think he steps in.
It wouldn't shock me.
I think he steps in and immediately replaces the production lost by Dalton Schultz.
So here's the question. Which second-year player is more primed for a breakout season between Jalen Tolbert, Jake Ferguson, or Tyler Smith?
And you could have. You could have used 3 more guys.
Yeah, really could.
You want to because Damone.
That's true, Damone. But I wanted to stick to offensive guys.
And Bland.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tyler,
Jalen Tolbert, or Jake Ferguson?
I would say.
What a question.
I would say Tyler Smith. I believe that he's at his home at left guard. And I'm probably.
So is he gonna stay there?
I'm on my own little island thinking that.
Yeah.
I just feel that way. I think he probably won't, because that's what happens. You have to justify first round picks and all that stuff. But I'm telling you, from the strength standpoint, I think he is going to be an outstanding left guard. That's where I would keep him. But
Hey, we got the tight end whisperer walking right by here.
No doubt.
As we're about to talk about Jake Ferguson. We got the tight end whisperer walking by.
And I'm about to please him with this question. Here you go, Lunda.
That's Lunda Wells, tight end coach for the Cowboys.
Jake Ferguson is the one who makes the biggest leap of those 3.
Okay.
And that's not to say that, because we just said Jalen Tolbert is making the leap, and I think it goes without saying that after seeing what Tyler Smith was able to do as a rookie in short order, as far as not having any left tackle reps, being thrown out there and just performing, I think he's going to be an absolute force. And he's getting refined, so he's going to – everything Nick Eatman said is right on par. He's going to be a gamer. Jake Ferguson, though, he's being given a throne at a position that Dak Prescott loves to utilize as a security blanket. Mm-hmm. Dalton Schultz over the past couple of seasons was Dak Prescott's primary target if you go and look at the numbers. Dalton Schultz is not there. So does that mean that Dak Prescott's going to pass less to tight ends to the point where they're going to be negligible? Absolutely not. I think Jake Ferguson steps right in. You saw it against the Jaguars. He's ready to be that guy. And he has guys behind him pushing him to be that guy, because John Stevens Jr., he's a talented guy. Hendershot, talented guy. And oh, by the way, they used a second-round pick on Luke Schoonmaker.
Does that become a wasted pick? I shouldn't say it like that.
No,
Does that become a situation where the Cowboys should have maybe gone with another position in the second round?
Yeah.
Because Jake Ferguson looks like he may be ready to be the guy.
If Ferguson gets 800 yards like he's suggesting, or even in the range of 6 to 7, yeah, I mean, you could make that argument. You could definitely make that argument. But you have to cover yourself, and we see 2-3 tight ends. I mean, they both might play a lot. Hendershot is a guy that might get sort of squeezed out of this. I'm not saying off the roster, but it may be out of the rotation.
My take on it is, and the argument could certainly be made, particularly if Ferguson does what I believe that he's going to do in year 2. But if you go back at the end of the season, if we look back retroactively and we see that Schoonmaker has the second most targets on the tight end unit, the second highest snap count on the tight end unit, then no, it's not a wasted pick, because that means he beat out everybody but Jake Ferguson.
And they love 12 and 22 personnel quite a bit as well.
Correct, which means he's really impacting the game often. So if that happens to be the case, or if that turns out to be the case, then no, it's not a wasted pick. But when you talk about the pressure that the presence of Schoonmaker puts on Jake Ferguson, and Hendershot being able to perform, and John Stevens Jr., he's having an elite camp as far as young guys are concerned that nobody saw coming. Yeah, I think Jake Ferguson has all the fire, all the tools, all the skill set. He has the mindset. He's ready to go out there and do it.
All right, we're going to take our final break. We'll come back. We got more questions for these guys. We also get some questions from you guys. Our text number, 817-290-3298. We'll be back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Want to use the Cowboys locker room's favorite products? Check out the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. Right now, you can get the Jack Black Playmaker, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The Playmaker includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized Intense Therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word Cowboys. The Jack Black Playmaker, $10, free shipping.
SeatGeek has your back no matter what kind of fan you are. So whether you're a diehard fan or a don't really care fan, a we got 'em next time fan or we'll never win again fan, a here for the tailgate fan or a first one through the gates fan, SeatGeek not only makes buying and selling tickets easier than ever before, they made just about everything else easier too. So whether you're a here every week fan or haven't been here in years fan, SeatGeek has you covered. Download the SeatGeek app today. SeatGeek, your ticket to great seats.
Welcome back into Dear Doctor, the show where I answer life's questions with an ice-cold can of Dr. Pepper. Sheila, let's hear from our next caller, would you?
Dear Doctor, my friend supported me during a tough time, but what's the right gift that says, thanks for being a shoulder to cry on?
Okay, this one's easy. I say give her a delicious Dr. Pepper. Nothing says, thanks, girl, better than a one-of-a-kind soda. Yes, any Dr. Pepper flavor will do. Now, just a reminder that I don't need to be a real doctor to know that Dr. Pepper is the one you deserve.
Back to the break.
You know, Derek, the Emmy Award-winning docuseries Deep Blue presented by Pepsi is back. Check out the season's 4 episodes on Cowboys Now, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, or visit DallasCowboys.com/deepblue.
You know, Derek is so good that we can't see him. Kind of like Tony Pollard in practice that day that those two guys from FS1 were out here.
Are you sure this isn't a camp holdout? You think
is that what it is?
This might be a way.
Not midway through. This is walking out at halftime and saying, "I want a new contract." Like that.
No.
That takes.
I will say this. I'll piggyback though. I don't know what was next on this list, but since we talked about, is it Jerry flying in? If we talked about the Deep Blues coming up. We did have Hall of Fame last week. This week, Close to the Vest. Really, really good. Really interesting night, 1986. I know we talked about it a couple days ago, but the documentary is on the night that there was an attack on Tom Landry, or at least a threat on Tom Landry's life, and what they had to do security-wise to kind of get him off the field and come back with a bulletproof vest. And interesting story of that whole thing. So Haley Sutton and really did a nice job with that. A lot of people, Kevin Timmons working hard on that one. And then we got 2 more coming that I've kind of been a part of as well. 2005 draft class, and then also War Stories 2. So
and ladies and gentlemen, I mean, these documentaries you really want to get in and glue yourself to. I mean, for those of us behind the scenes who are seeing, you know, all these good people, Nick and Haley and Alex Lilly and these folks that are also involved, Al Michaels on the
I like how you just put Al Michaels in there with everybody.
I mean,
else.
I just, name it. I got
You kind of jumped in on this year with War Stories.
I wasn't going to tip the hat just yet.
Oh, okay.
So
I won't tell you which one.
I am involved in one that's coming soon, but I don't want to take away from the most recent one that dropped or that's coming, which is Close to the Vest, because that is just that story. And as it's told by those who experienced it in real time, like that's something that any and every Cowboys fan should be a part of.
Definitely.
So you ended your holdout.
Yeah,
we were saying
we thought
you walked
might
out
have
at
had a
halftime for a
contract
contract
holdout or
holdout.
something.
You guys got it.
I ain't getting no more money.
So he's back.
I gave in. I gave in before it really even got started. All right, welcome back to the final segment.
Such a funny statement. Even Mike McCarthy
as Mike
chuckled
McCarthy
on that
walked
one.
Yeah, he
He
chuckled as he walked past.
How you get anymore?
Good. All right, so here's we go. We got more questions for you guys. Here's our next question: which veteran needs to show more through the remainder of preseason to make the team? To make the team, Kelvin Joseph, Ronald Jones, Neville
You want me to
Gallimore.
jump out?
Go for it, man.
Give me a
Ronald Jones,
Uh-huh.
Kelvin Joseph, or Neville Gallimore?
Right now, it's Ronald Jones. And I mean, the low-hanging fruit there would be Kelvin Joseph, but Joseph has the benefit of being a former second-round pick. He has familiarity with the coaching staff. They're going to want to try to develop him to the point where they're going to hold on to him until they can't any longer. Neville Gallimore, I already see him making strides, and I'm confident he can continue to do so. And Mike McCarthy and Dan Quinn, they can't sing enough praise as far as the depth of their defensive line. I don't think they want to carve into that unless they absolutely have to. But when you look at Ronald Jones, he came in on a one-year deal. He's not, a draft pick for the Cowboys. He's not a guy who's been here multiple years, so he doesn't have either of those leverage points. And then he suffers the 2-game suspension, and then he suffers the groin injury a few days later that's held him out of the Jacksonville Jaguars game, and it sounds like it's going to hold him out of the Seahawks game as well. Meanwhile, what have we been talking about? Deuce Vaughn and Rico Dowdle and looking for Malik Davis to take the step and Hunter Lemke. So all things considered, it's Ronald Jones, and it has to be now. Unfortunately, he's not quite ready physically because he didn't practice yesterday. We'll see if he practices today.
I'd like to see him. I mean, I want to see what he can do,
Yes.
and because I still think there's a void there for me at backup running back. I mean, that's just a spot that and I think it's better now to see what Zeke got in money wise, and I think what Dalvin Cook got. But because it's like, well, why don't they just sign him to a cheaper deal? Well, that's what the cheaper deal looked like, and Cowboys didn't want to pay initially. Didn't want to pay 8.5 over 2 years.
$6 million is still $6 million is still a lot for Zeke from what I think the Cowboys are willing to pay.
Well, right. Yeah. I mean, they didn't really want to go $4 million more per year for Zach Martin.
Yeah.
So they didn't want that, and but I still think that there's a need there. For me, there's a need for a bigger short yardage back. We haven't really seen it yet, but we saw some things yesterday of what they're going to run the ball in a variety of ways.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a lot of guys running the football more than just your running backs. You're going to do it in different ways.
And I don't know if you guys saw the play yesterday with Deuce running up the middle and kind of just chopping through the defense. And I also wonder if there will be moments like that when it's not like they're afraid to run him through between the tackles. He did that in college
a lot.
He may be a guy that they use in that way, in a similar way. Again, they'll do it a lot of different ways, and I think Deuce may be a part of that, and Tony Pollard will be a part of that, because I know a lot of people have over the years said he's not a between the tackles, but we've seen Tony Pollard can do it, right?
Definitely.
So I do think that there may be some of the people that you don't even necessarily think about in short yardage will be some of the backs that will be involved in some short yardage situations.
And I've said it before, pre-draft, after the decision was made to get Deuce Vaughn. Ladies and gentlemen, I get it. Size is always going to be the conversation when it comes to Deuce Vaughn. But I promise you, if it's 1 yard to go to get into that end zone, it takes an average of 2 to 3 yards for the defenders to locate Deuce Vaughn.
Right.
So if it's 1 or 2 yards to go to get into the end zone, just give it to him and watch him reappear with a touchdown, untouched more often than not. So yes, I do believe he's going to factor in a big way when it comes to short yardage situations.
If Mozzie Smith isn't your starting defensive tackle, he's pretty quick off the ball. I mean,
you want to line him up back there?
Not to get the ball, but I need a blocker like that. He would be somebody I would look at. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to do that, and if they do, they probably hate that I say that. But I would like to see more of that, more of the defensive guys that can provide a push like that. I think it's.
I would actually look at a guy like Osa for something like that. I think Osa is quick.
You've got to be quick.
Yeah,
There's no doubt. You have to be quick. He might be better at it. I know like a couple years ago, the Bears, they would use 3-4 guys in there doing that stuff.
Yeah.
Let's have some fun.
It'd be interesting because we know that when Connor McGovern was here, they did love kind of flexing him as fullback because they wanted that big, powerful body back there in those short yardage. So maybe they pull somebody from the defense.
And Farniok didn't work the same. It wasn't the same.
It didn't hit the same.
No, you got to have somebody that's got a little athletic quickness to him, that played a little tight end or something in the past.
And Mozzie does say he loves hitting people, so that's.
He said he don't even like football. He just likes hitting people.
It's a great opportunity for him to have
unless you play football, right?
Yeah, let's keep it between the lines.
Yeah, that's good.
And we're all
glad he has an outlet. All right, so let's move on to the next question. Which of these rookies do you see having a larger role in the regular season for this team? Because it looks like, in my opinion right now, it looks like there won't be one of these rookies that will actually be a starter, barring injury. Doesn't like any of them is going to start the season as the starter. But from DeMarvion Overshown, Deuce Vaughn, Luke Schoonmaker, and Mozzie Smith, which of those four do you think will have a larger role in the regular season for this team?
Ooh. Yeah, these questions are fire.
Okay, I'm going to knock off. I was going to say knock off Schoonmaker, but I mean.
Well, you can say a role for each one of them. Right now, you can literally say, I think this person will have this role. I don't know which one will be bigger. That's why I'm asking you, the analysts, who are the professionals, which will be bigger, have bigger impact.
Broadus working with you on these questions?
No, he was not.
Man, this is a Broadus-like question. Like, really good. Where at first you're like, this is easy. Wait. And this is a good one. Biggest role.
I got my answer. It
Go
just
for
hit me. DeMarvion Overshown.
Yeah.
I'm going with Overshown by a hair. By a hair over Deuce Vaughn. And it's, for me, it's the depth equation at the position.
Yeah.
I still, at this point, obviously Tony Pollard RB1. I see Rico Dowdle as RB2. I see the Cowboys getting Turpin involved on offense. That includes some handoffs. We've seen Turpin take some handoffs as well. How do you factor in Hunter Lipke? And then you have Deuce Vaughn, who they're going to get involved, but he's going to have to, share. Okay. When you look at the linebacker depth situation, you got LVE, you got Damone Clark, who I believe is going to have a breakout season. But then behind that, coming into camp, you were looking for someone to elevate. Jabril Cox is making strides, but so is DeMarvion Overshown. The difference between the two is Overshown has more flexibility, and you can see Dan Quinn already starting to put him in different positions to test him out. And if you look at the Jags game, he's already excelling in several of those situations and recognizing his keys. So all things considered, I'm going to go with hook 'em horns over here, and we're going to say Overshown has the bigger impact.
Yeah, I think all of them are going to have a role like that in a nickel type way, or, offense or defense. I mean, Mozzie will be more first and second downs, I would imagine. But yeah, I think it would be Deuce or Overshown, and I think Overshown's the right answer there because I think of the special teams. I think he'll be on all of the special teams, and then I also think there's going to be a good role for him on defense.
Who do you think he takes time from? If he's on the field more, then who actually ends up being on the field less?
It could be Damone or Leighton. Depends on how they run that linebackers. I think down and distance is going to play a factor in it too. Could be a safety.
Could be a game type situation too, like based on the matchups. In this game, we're going to do a little bit more with him or with three linebackers as opposed to that extra safety sometimes they like to put in the game.
It's going to be very intriguing when you also factor in the fact that, and I've been dropping some breadcrumbs, if you're paying attention, ladies and gentlemen, Leighton Vander Esch has been getting some work, plenty of work off of the edge in OTA's minicamp and here in camp. So I think you'll see some three linebacker sets where only Damone and DeMarvion are actually the traditional linebackers, and LVE is set to go off the edge. Now, does that mean his hand is in the dirt? Maybe, maybe not. But I think Dan Quinn has a lot of tricks up his bag to get Overshown his reps without it sacrificing someone like Damone, because LVE is going to get his, but you don't want to take away from Damone's development.
Right, and I get that, but that also means that probably if you're going to have three linebackers on the field, that one of your three safeties probably is not going to be on the field. So somebody's going to have to be
it's going to be
off the
down
field.
in situation. Yeah.
I'm going to change my answer. The guy that I think is going to get the most reps out of all that is Schoonmaker. I really do. I think he'll play in a lot of two tight ends. They love to have two tight ends, and I think he will be one of the two tight ends. I think they'll have different packages for Deuce, different packages for Overshown. Mozzie will get some time, but I think now not touches as much, but snaps. I think Schoonmaker might actually get the most snaps.
I could see that,
but It's a good question. I mean, because those 4 guys are all going to have.
Which wouldn't, I mean, that would answer your question as far as was it a wasted pick as a second rounder? If he gets the majority of them.
You know what's a great problem to have is none of those 4 guys have. I mean, will probably be starters. Maybe Schoonmaker, but probably not at the moment. You know, and those are good draft picks that are doing good things, but not good enough right now to start on your football team. That just shows you, your depth that you've got.
It's going to be fun. And this Cowboys defense is going to be fun. The Cowboys offense, and I feel good saying this now, the Cowboys offense is going to be fun again. It's going to be fun. I love what I'm seeing from Mike McCarthy's play calling thus far, and obviously keep in mind, 3/4 of the playbook is going to stay under lock and key in the preseason. But even with the limited plays that Mike wants to expose and put on film, the situational play calling, it felt against the Jaguars, and hopefully this continues against the Seahawks, and we'll see. But it felt like guys had separation. There's the word, separation. The wide receivers were getting separation. They were in open space a lot as the defense couldn't figure out which weapon to shade coverage to. So let's have some fun, shall we?
All right, this is going to be my last question. I know we're already over time, but I can't finish the show without asking it. If you had to give one name, MVP of 2023 training camp, who's your MVP?
Chris Beam for me.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. Our trusty producer.
And I mean that 100%.
I like it.
For me. But on the field, guys.
Just say it. It's the obvious one.
Is it? Go for it then.
It's Micah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the obvious one.
So you want?
I almost wanted to say without putting Micah in there, but that's not fair.
Okay,
to
let's
Micah.
go.
So that's fair. You take Micah.
Yeah.
And Nick, it's up to you to take somebody else.
I mean, man, Mike has been impressive, but I mean, because he's always impressive, but
not like this. This dude has been unstoppable.
I mean, literally every day, multiple times. I'm like, that play doesn't.
Listen,
get
they had to accidentally kick his leg yesterday to get him out. By the way, he's fine. Yeah. Laceration on the calf. He'll be all right, ladies and gentlemen. No need to break out the pitchforks and look for the assailant. But Micah Parsons has just been, every time we think we can't fathom a next level for this guy, he finds the next level.
So he's the defensive MVP?
Yeah, let's go.
There we go. Let's take the defense. Give me an offensive MVP.
I think from the reasons we said earlier and just what he's taken the offense to another level, I'm going to go with Cooks. I think Cooks has done – he's brought the offense along. He's helping young guys. He's doing what a veteran should do. He's going to be a great locker room presence. We've seen it. He's going to add great speed. We've seen it. He's going to have great versatility. We've seen it. I go with Cooks because it's just of what he brings the offense.
All right, we appreciate you guys joining us for this entire 4-week period. We are back in Dallas next week. We'll be back in Frisco at the Star.
What a fun.
And we'll have our show on Monday. So next week we'll still continue our every other day throughout the remainder of the preseason. So next week we'll be on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The week following will be on Tuesday and Thursday. And then the week after that, it is week 1 of the NFL season. We will start our daily shows. Not on Labor Day, but on that Tuesday, we'll start our everyday shows.
Every day
so make sure you join us. Make sure you check us out for that. Till then, for Nick Eatman,
for
Nick Eatman and Patrick Walker, I am Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!